Long ago they were called tachi and katana, but they are now called katana and wakizashi. It is not necessary to write out in detail why a warrior wears these two at his waist. In our country, it is the way of the warrior to wear them whether the reason is understood or not. I call this the two-sword style in order to express its principle. The spear, the halberd, and other weapons are peripheral, but are among the implements of battle. In the way of this style, it is correct for even the beginner to hold a sword and short sword in either hand and train in the way. When you put your life on the line, you want all your weapons to be of use. Your real intent should not be to die with weapons uselessly worn at your waist. Moreover, when you hold a single weapon with both hands, it is difficult for the right and left hands to move freely. For this reason, I would have you learn to hold a sword with one hand. With a spear or halberd, there is no other way but with two hands, but the sword and short sword are both weapons to be held with one hand. It is wrong to hold a sword with both hands. It is wrong to do this on horseback, and wrong to do it when you are running. This is so, whether in swamps, deep rice paddies, steep roads, or in the midst of a group of people. A bow, spear, or any other kind of weapon you may hold in your left hand, but in all such cases you will have to use the sword with one hand. Thus it is not the true way to take a stance with a single sword with both hands. If there is a time when it is difficult to strike or kill an opponent with one hand, then you may strike him down with two. This should not be a time-consuming event. To learn how to wield a sword in one hand, first take up two swords. This is the way to learn how to hold the sword single-handed. A sword feels heavy and difficult to wield for anyone at first. A bow is also difficult to draw, and a halberd difficult to swing. But you get used to any weapon. For the bow, you gain strength, and if you practice with the sword, you will gain strength in its way and come to handle it well. The way of the sword is not in handling it with speed. I will cover this in the water chapter. The sword is handled in open spaces, and the short sword is handled in narrow spaces. This is most fundamental to the way. In this style, you win with either the long or the short. For this reason, the length of a sword is not predetermined. The way of this style is the mind that obtains the victory with anything at all. It is advantageous to hold two swords rather than one, whether you are singly fighting a group of people or are confined to a narrow space. It is not necessary to write in detail about such things now. You should